right, so I'm going to try to stay on track today. Here we go. So, 1 Samuel 17, the story of David and Goliath is in 1 Samuel 17. You've probably heard that story before. Well, this morning I woke up and my first thought of the day was thinking about a mountain and just like a small, not very big, but kind of a big mountain, and creating a video that was like here's the story that was kind of in my head when I woke up, and it was like this mountain like popped up out of nowhere, and I interviewed the local people, and this was like, so they're speaking a different language. It's like somewhere in Africa, and I video this mountain, and it just popped up overnight. And so I interview these local people, and they all say, "Oh yeah, it just popped up," and they're speaking in their native language, and in the subtitles, then I can write whatever I want, right? And so I went through this whole thing in my head of like, oh, this would be really funny. I could basically create this whole story, and I like P.T. Barnum. If you know about P.T. Barnum and how he was able to use, I don't know, he just like made up stories. That was kind of his shtick, I guess, that made him who he was, and it was the story that created the story. And so remember that, because I'm going to come back to that in about 1 or 2 minutes, and I'm going to try to stick to my point here today. Um, but so it's about the story creating the story, and I was thinking about this right when I woke up, and usually the first thoughts that I have of the day, I usually say a little prayer in bed and kind of just gather my thoughts. And this was the first thing I thought of while I was still laying in bed. And it's like, oh, that's really funny. That could be kind of a fun thing. And I'm probably never going to do it. But just the idea of, creating this narrative of, oh, yeah, this mountain just popped up overnight. And I had this whole thing built in my head. I was like, oh, yeah, people would be like talking about this, and they would think it was hilarious when I told them the truth later on that I made up this whole story. And so then I came downstairs and I got this word of the day calendar this year. And my word today is regale. I'm going to hold it up real quick. Regale, which is to entertain through lively storytelling. And I swear I didn't even look ahead in my word of the day calendar. I just flipped it when I got to my desk this morning. And I was thinking about that story that I thought of right when I woke up about entertaining through storytelling. And so I opened my Bible as I usually do, and the page that I opened up to, and this is the crazy stuff that happens to me very regularly. And I do have a lifetime of like making connections. Like I love to try to find connections. And what I open up to is 1 Samuel 17, which is the story of David and Goliath. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I have this story about a mountain that popped up out of nowhere, and in my head, and I built this whole story about how, people are going to think this is awesome and be really like entertained by this. And then I come down, flip my word of the day. It says regale, which is to entertain through lively storytelling. And then I flip to 1 Samuel 17, and these are three things that connect. And so when I read this, I was like, well, I got to jump on and do a video then. And in 1 Samuel 17, so the big story is about David and Goliath, right? You may have heard that story, but within that story are other pieces. And here in verse, hold on one second. In verse, man, I should have found this. See, this is one of my problems. I'm going to work this stuff out. Um, in verse 34, so David's asking the king if he can go fight Goliath. And Saul says, he's been fighting since he was a youth, and you are still a youth. Like, how are you going to fight this guy? And in verse 34, David answered Saul and he says, your servant has been tending his father's sheep. Whenever a lion or bear came and it carried off a lamb from the flock, I went after it, struck it down, and rescued the lamb from its mouth. I mean, just imagine that, like this wild beast taking a lamb, and he has a sling. It's like basically a leather strap with a rock in it. And which, side note, would be a really cool skill to learn. You can find videos on YouTube about how to do that. But think about that. And then he was able to hit these like lions and bears. So he tells the king, he says, I would grab it by its fur, strike it down, and kill it. Your servant has killed lions and bears. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, for he has defiled the armies of the living God. Then David said, the Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. And again, think about this, how, hey Shane, what's up, man? And think about this again, how these wild animals grab a sheep, grab a lamb, and run off with it. And he uses this sling to sling a stone at them and somehow incapacitate them. So he's probably not actually killing the lion or the bear. It may just be, dazed and confused at that point. And then it says he grabs it by its fur, strikes it down, and kills it. And within that is such a great story. And again, this is a story inside a story. And what I want to get across in this is that the smaller story in this, from David to King Saul, the smaller story is what allowed him to kill Goliath and create the bigger story. And that is just so amazing to me. And so all these connections between this goofy video that I made up in my head this morning, and then to see Regale in my word of the day, and then 1 Samuel 17. And when I find the three connections, I got to come here. So have a good one.